Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. I hope you all are well. Welcome you all to His Holiness Candramauli Maharaj's daily call. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. So today we have today two Vyas pujas happening. I don't want to because I might upset Guru Maharaj. So there is one in we have devotees, UK God families gathered in Gurukul, and we are all there. And maybe Maharaj, you can see all of them there. If Prabhu is there, we can maybe move the camera around so everyone can see, everyone can take darshan of Maharaj. So today's verse is Shrimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 10th chapter, and verse number 10. I think it's 10. No, 7, sorry. It's 7, yes. And the name of the chapter is Bhagavatam is the answer to all the questions. So, Maharaj, if you're ready, should I start sharing the screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hello.
I'm just going to increase the font a little bit. Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Avasascha Nirodascha Yatostaya Siyate Sa Asraya Param Brahmam Paramapmeti Sabdate. Translation: the Supreme One, who is celebrated as the Supreme Being or the Super Soul, is the supreme source of all the cosmic manifestation, as well as the reservoir, as well as its reservoir and winding up. Thus, he is the supreme fountainhead, the absolute truth. Purport. Synonyms for the supreme source of all energies, as explained in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, are Janma Yasya Yataha, Vedantis Tat Dadat Vidams Tadvam Gyat Yanam Avyayam, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Subjite, called Param Brahma, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. The word iti used here in this verse completes the synonyms and thus indicates Bhagavan. This will be further explained in the later verses, but this Bhagavan ultimately means Lord Krishna because the Srimad Bhagavatam has already accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna. Krishna's too, Bhagavan Swayam. The original source of all energy, of the Sunam Bonam, is the Absolute Truth, which is called Param Brahma, etc. And Bhagavan is the last word of the Absolute Truth. But even with the synonyms for Bhagavan, such as Narayan, Vishnu, and Purusha, the last word is Krishna, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matats sarvam papartante. Besides this, the Bhagavatam is the representation of Lord Krishna as the sound incarnation of the Lord. Krishna isva bhagavadharmo bhagavate dharma janari bisaha kalo nostalgia samesa puranarko dunoditaham. It's from the Bhagavatam 1.3.43. Thus, by general conclusion, Lord Krishna is the ultimate source of all energy, and the word Krishna means that. And to explain Krishna or the science of Krishna, the Bhagavatam has been prepared. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this truth is indicated in the questions and answers by Sutta Goswami and the great sages like Sonaka, and in the first and second chapters of the first canto, this is explained. In the third chapter, this subject is more explicit, and in the fourth chapter, even more explicit. In the second canto, the Absolute Truth as the personality of Godhead is further emphasized, and the indication is the Supreme Lord Krishna. The summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 verses, as we have already discussed, is succinct. This Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate issue and as confirmed by Brahma in his Brahma Samhita as Ishwar Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. So it's concluded in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The complete subject matter is explained elaborately in the 10th and 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the matter of the changing of the manus or manvantaras, such as the Swayambhuva, Manvantara, the Chakshusha, Manvantara, as they are discussed in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna is indicated. In the 8th canto, the Vaibhishvata Manvantara explains the same subject indirectly, and in the 9th canto, the same purport is there. In the 12th canto, the same is further explained, specifically regarding the different incarnations of the Lord. Thus is concluded by studying the complete Srimad Bhagavatam that Lord Shri Krishna is the ultimate sunam bonum of the ultimate source of all energy. And according to the grades of worshippers, the indications of the nomenclature may be differently explained as Narayana, Brahma, and Paramatma, etc. Mama Gyanti Mirandosya Gena Jana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurube Namaha Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauramani Pacharine Nirvasesa Sunyavari Pastyaptya Desatamine Vancha Kalpatu Vischa Kripa Sindhu Pe Bachaparitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the absolute truth is one, but the absolute truth is understood in three features of itself: Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, and Bhagavan, which is the ultimate principle of the realization. But the absolute truth is understood as being one. But from different angles of vision, one can get a partial understanding of that same oneness, and it's complete in itself, but yet still incomplete. What that means is that Brahman realization are usually for the Gyanis. They realize that the absolute truth is the all-pervading manifestation of the spiritual energy, which is called Brahman, which is existing everywhere. Their goal is to merge into that Brahman and become liberated from material existence and experience the happiness of Brahman realization, which is we call that, this is the monistic nature or the monistic attainment of the absolute truth. And the basic principle of that is Sat. So Sat is there, that means the living entity is eternal. The Brahman effulgence is the manifestation of the complete eternal. And one achieves through various types of worship, puja, meditation, and ultimately the yoga system, they attain the absolute truth as being one, see themselves as being non-different, but at the same time different. Different in quality, different in quantity, similar in quality. A more complete understanding of the absolute truth, which is complete in itself, but not fully complete, is Paramatma realization. This is attained by the yogis through drilling the respiration, performing the various types of austerity, and understand that God is manifested within the hearts of all living entity as the supreme indwelling soul. That is called Paramatma realization. Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmani Gavi Hastani, Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha, Pandita Samadarshanaha. They can see that all living entities have material bodies which are different, but the essence of the living entity is all the same. Everyone is spiritual by nature. They still don't have any clue or understanding of the form of the spirit. They still understand spirit as being localized in the heart of all living beings. And they attain to that level. It has the chit potency added to the sat potency. In other words, they gain transcendental knowledge. What is that knowledge? They acknowledge that material energy is temporary and ultimately the source of all suffering. Spirit is by nature full of knowledge, and it raises one to the realization of one's own identity as a soul. And then there are yogis usually attain that, and of course, they can also project themselves to different levels of material existence through the yoga process. They can traverse through the universes and also attain various types of cities or what do you say, powers. The yoga cities are achieved by the yogis, and that's Paramatma realization. And the final and ultimately and complete understanding of the actual truth is Bhagavan. And that's the personality of God, that the Supreme Person, the absolute truth is a person, and that person is the source of all existence. He's also the source of Brahman and Paramatma. And to worship him is done through his representative, the pure spiritual master. And that is Bhagavan realization. And that is the complete understanding of the absolute truth. We are person, God is also person, but we also are spirit, but our spirit has form, has qualities, has activities, and also has a spiritual identity, which is distinct from the material identity by which we identify ourselves based on the body. And the realization of that is that one frees themselves from the cycle of birth and death through the process of yoga, which is bhakti yoga, as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, yoginam api sarvesham madgatendunatmanaha shadavan bhajite yomam te me yuktaktamo mataha. That of all yogis, he who abides in me in great and transcendental faith is most intimately united with me in the highest of all. That of all of yogas, the highest is the bhakti yoga, it's the complete yoga. It reveals Krishna in his ultimate principle form as the supreme personality of Godhead, which manifests in different forms of itself. But the original form of that personality is Krishna in Sri Vrindavan Dham. The Brahma Samhita explains that Ishwara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha and Adir Govinda Sarvakaranam. This is the description of the absolute truth. He is the source of everything. He is there's no one is equal to, it is greater than him. And all activities, both spiritual and material, have their cause ultimately in Krishna. So, and that is the highest form of spiritual realization, which completes the nature of the absolute principle. That is the Ananda principle. So Brahman is Sat, Parama is Chit, and Bhagavan is Ananda. And that means joyfulness, because happiness comes by relationship. In the other two forms of realization, relationship hasn't reached its perfection yet. But in Bhagavan realization, it becomes perfect. So the devotees exchange activities based on service to the Absolute in a loving way. In other words, to serve the Supreme Personality with a desire to please the Supreme Personality opens up the door to the complete understanding of the Absolute Truth, and one becomes transcendently full of happiness. And that is the full manifestation of the personality of Godhead. And that same personality has myriads of incarnations, which are also personal. And one can worship any of the incarnations also as the absolute truth. But according to the essence of that worship, that Krishna is that source of all of the Eti Cham Sam Kalam Pum Sam, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. In the Bhagavatam, after describing all of the incarnations of the Lord, it ends with this verse by saying all of these incarnations are portions or plenary portions of the portion of the absolute truth, but Krishna is the supreme personality or the source of all other incarnations. He is the Adi Purush, the source of all other personality. And therefore, the process of worshiping Krishna on the highest level and complete level is to worship Krishna in the mood of Vrindavan Dham, which is in the mood of Madhurya. Madhurya means sweetness, intimately associating with Krishna, either as a cowherd boy to play with Krishna and assist him along with his friends in herding cows and enjoying each other's company in different ways, or Krishna as one's son, as Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj worship Krishna as their son, and or in the highest and most complete and the highest form of transcendental happiness in the Madhurya Ras as a lover with Krishna. And that's the complete manifestation of the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which has the ultimate principle of sweetness. In that worship, Krishna is not seen or worshipped as the personality of Godhead. He's worshipped according to the role he plays as a cowherd boy, as a child, or as a lover. And therefore, the mood of what we say Aishwara Bhav, or awe and reverence, is no longer existing in that worship. It's the mood of intimacy. Just like when we have relationships in this world, in the same way we have friends. As a parent, we have children. As a lover, we have a lover. We have a husband and wife that is called Swakiya. And then there is Parakiya, there is lovers who are not married. That is the highest form of loving relationship. That is called lawless love. In the material world, it is considered to be sinful, and the spiritual world is considered to be the highest form of worship of the transcendental person. The highest in the sense that it has the most transcendental happiness included in that. All of the manifestations of relationships that one may attain with Krishna is full of happiness, but Madhurya Ras is the concentrated form. Just like sweetness can be described in different ways. There is sugar, there is molasses, there is gore, and then there is sugar cane, and then there's ultimately rock candy. All of them are sweet, but rock candy is the concentrated form of sugar, which is pure, so it's pure sugar. In the same way, Krishna is sweet in all of the relationships, but the concentration of the sweetness reaches its epitome, height in Madhurya Ras. So these are the different manifestations of the personality, how to worship the personality of Godhead, which is being taught by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings based on following the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, purifying one's consciousness through the chanting, serving the spiritual master, who is the pure representative of the spirit of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the name, fame, form, qualities, pastimes of the absolute truth, as it was described here in this purport. The different cantos describe the absolute truth in different aspects of itself, culminating in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the smiling face of Krishna, Krishna in Sri Vrindavan Dham. And so those who are followers of Lord Chaitanya, particularly those who follow Srila Prabhupada, who follows Lord Chaitanya, are meant to attain the mood of pure love for Krishna in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, according to one of the rasas, either Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, or Madhurya Ras. Dasya Ras is there in all of the rasas, but each of them have an explicit mood of service in the three higher rasas. So this is Krishna consciousness, worshiping Krishna as a person, not as a localized manifestation of the Supreme Lord in the heart, nor as the all-pervading manifestation of spiritual energy everywhere. There is no personal connection, and there's no service. Therefore, those who worship the Lord in these other ways, they cannot attain to the eternal manifestation of their success, as it says, Vedanta Vedanti Tatta Dad Vicham Yajnanam Avyam. No, I'm sorry, that's not the verse. Aruna Krishna Padam Padam Padanti Yadam Naritya Usma Ahangrayaha. They again fall down into the material world, into the mode of goodness to take up material activities, because there is no active service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is a person, we are a person, and therefore, in order to culminate our complete understanding of the absolute truth and to fulfill our actual nature as a person, just like you see in this world, where people develop love and relationships with each other, person to person. This is material, it's external, it's ephemeral, and ultimately it's fraught with so many difficulties. But that same person to person engaged in devotional service brings one to the realization of the ultimate principle of the absolute truth, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in various loving relationships. Now, this verse is nice and it's very powerful. As it says here, he is the supreme fountainhead. And a fountain brings about water into different directions. The fountainhead is the source. So he is the fountainhead of the absolute truth. Although he's celebrated in different manifestations of himself, ultimately he is worshipped as the personality of Godhead. Okay, so it's a little bit about the nature of the absolute truth.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for so nicely explaining the three forms of the Lord and ultimately the Bhagwan's, the Lord Krishna's personal form. Devotees, if you have any questions, comments, realization, please unmute yourself and ask questions. You can also type it in the chat and I can read it for you. It'll be nice to have your cameras on if you can. And just one last request, Maharaj, if it's possible, is it okay to take the questions from the UK God family first, if there are any?
You're in charge.
Thank you. Hooray. So, UK God family, are there any questions from you, please?
Yes, we have one.
Thank you.
You might need to come a little bit closer. I'm not sure whether the Maharaj can help. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, you have to increase your volume a little.
And just go a little bit back, Mahaprabhu. We can see your body, but not your face. So it'll be nice. Maybe Jay, wherever you, yeah.
My question is, on one hand, we know intellectually that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we have a personal connection. But how do we transform from having an intellectual connection to having a heartfelt relationship? Because you said in a relationship there should be intimacy. But how do you translate that?
That's very simple. By service. By service to the spiritual master who represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one gets connected to the absolute truth by performing various service for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is pleased by bhakti, but bhakti is expressed by service. And therefore, using, as it says, your mind, your intelligence, your words, your resources, and your very life in the service of the Lord, you transcend the material activities and come to the spiritual platform, guided by the pure devotee spiritual master. So one should take shelter of a spiritual master. One should inquire from him about the absolute truth and be ready to offer service. Service is the ultimate principle, and service connects us with Krishna. Therefore, the intellect is used to engage in service, and service is the ultimate principle. By service, we connect with Krishna automatically, because that is our nature. Jivir Sarupai Krishner Nityadas. All living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and they connect with Krishna through the process of serving the absolute truth, by serving the spiritual master who represents the absolute truth, who takes the service we perform and offers it to Krishna in devotion. So that's how we get beyond the intellectual understanding into the realized understanding through service. Is that okay?
You're on mute, UK God family. Thank you, Maharaj. Any other questions from the UK God family? Otherwise, yes, Vrindavan Nath Prabhu has a question. Go ahead, Prabhu.
I'm not sure whether it will come translate across because it's not connected.
Yes, we can hear. You can go on, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, when we serve Lord in different rasa and different mood. But how to understand our original rasa and relationship with Krishna? Is it possible to understand in this life, or?
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach us spontaneous devotional service. Spontaneous devotional service reveals our actual transcendental identity. But the process is given by Rupa Goswami, Adao Shraddha, faith, sadhu sangha, association with, and activities of devotional service with others. Then third stage bhajana kriya, we take shelter of and get initiated by the spiritual master. And then by the guidance of the spiritual master, one gets freed from the anarthas. That these are mentioned. There are different types of obstacles or blockages in our spiritual path. So the spiritual master's guidance with both knowledge and his mercy, we work through these different anarthas. We give them up through the process of bhakti, especially by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and serving the Vaishnavas. When we get to a certain stage of freedom from anarthas, we come what is called, the stage is called nishta, or fixed. And one is fixed in devotional service. Despite whatever happens, one stays fixed in engaging in service to the Lord. As that stage matures, one comes to the next stage, which is called ruchi. That's characterized by Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nasoshati Nakangshati, Samasarveshu Bhuteshu, Madbhakti Labhate Para. One becomes joyful, happy, not just occasionally, but continuously. One is feeling transcendental happiness in engaging in devotional service. They don't lament if they lose something. They don't hanker to gain anything. They are fixed in their devotional service. On that stage, one starts to move towards what we say Raganuga Bhakti, or spontaneous, because sadhana bhakti is divided into Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti is rules and regulations. Raganuga Bhakti is that stage by one becomes attracted to Krishna in his different features, his qualities, his activities, his transcendental associates, like that. And then there is what is called Raganuga Sadhana. Under the guidance of the spiritual master, one starts to execute Raganuga Sadhana, and then, according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's direction, one starts to connect with an eternal associate of Krishna in one of the rasas in Sri Vrindavan Dham. They worship that person, hear about that person, glorify that person, and learn the mood of service that that person has towards Krishna. And then one aspires to become like that particular person in their devotional service. They don't imitate, they simply develop an attraction for and an understanding of that mood. And as one is chanting the holy names, they're coming to higher and higher levels of realization. What is that realization? They're cutting through all of the material coverings, and one is revealing their actual spiritual being. So that's the stage of ruchi, and then ashakti, preliminary attachment to Krishna. A deep attachment to Krishna turns into bhava, affection for Krishna, and then ultimately love, prema, and prema goes different levels of prema also. But that's the science that's explained by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We can get a greater understanding from Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's book, Jaiva Dharma, explains the whole thing in detail, set within a social environment where a dialogue between the guru and the disciple, what kind of questions the disciples ask and how this guru answers these questions to situate the disciple in spontaneous devotional service. In our society, we have, Prabhupada has talked about it, but not in a systematic way. He's mentioned it throughout his books, and it's also understood that Lord Chaitanya came to teach Raganuga Bhakti, spontaneous attraction. His Holiness Shiva Ram Maharaj has written books specifically describing the science of Raganuga Bhakti and how one can practice that science. So if you want to learn more, he's taking Prabhupada's statements along with the statements of the previous acharyas, along with his own realizations, and formulated into the explanation of spontaneous devotional service. Because unless devotional service comes to us, the level of spontaneity, it doesn't really attract the personality of Godhead. So Raganuga Bhakti is ultimately the goal, which leads to prema. You can't get to prema through rules and regulations, or what we say, just ordinary worship. We have to develop attraction for Krishna, heartfelt attraction, and that is the characteristics of the higher stages of bhakti. So that's a very succinct explanation. If you read His Holiness Shiva Ram Maharaj has taken the time to try to encourage devotees to understand that unless we move into that later stage of bhakti, we will never complete the process of devotional service. It's a requirement. Sadhana bhakti means rules and regulations. That's called Vaidhi bhakti. And it's also the second half of Vaidhi bhakti is also is Raganuga bhakti. Just like you love somebody in this world, you're attracted to that person every time you hear about them, every time you see them, every time you see something in relationship to them, your love for that person awakens. The mother sees the shoes of her child and she thinks of the child automatically, and her heart fills with motherly love towards the child. So in the same way, when we hear about Krishna, we see his flute, his bugle horn, his peacock feather, his smiling face, his activities with his devotees in Vrindavan. It attracts the devotee in a loving way towards Krishna. And when that becomes mature, then one has reached the stage of prema bhakti, which is the goal of bhakti.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. Jai.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for so beautiful and detailed answer. UK God family, any other last questions? Because we have 2 questions waiting from in the Zoom call as well.
No more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Prabhu. Rasivilasni Mataji, please go ahead.
That's the Sundari.
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you and all glories to Vaishnavas everywhere. So based on your answer to the first question about developing intimacy with Krishna through service to spiritual master, I was just thinking, what is the best way to serve the spiritual master, and how do we know that the spiritual master is pleased?
He's pleased when you follow his instruction, but he's more pleased when you're making advancement in devotional service. Advancement is not some theoretical thing. It manifests in the form of activity and certain characteristics that develop within the disciple. So the connection between you and Krishna is through the spiritual master by following his instructions. He gives instructions in the form of, but the general instructions are there. Chant every day 16 rounds on beads without fail. Avoid the 10 offenses. Hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Associate with and serve Vaishnavas. Worship the Lord in his deity form. Take only Krishna Prasadam. These are the essence of bhakti. Okay. But the essence is sadhu sangha. Associate with if we don't take quality association with devotees, we will never develop in our Krishna consciousness. You can't do it alone. You need sadhu sangha. That's why we have these retreats, we have yatras, we have programs to go to the holy places, to associate with devotees, and to focus exclusively for a period of time simply on devotional service, putting aside all of our material responsibilities. But even when we're in our ordinary day-to-day world, we have to take a quality time to go to the temple, to associate with devotees, to chant the holy name, He's all awakened. Indeed, when the spiritual master sees the eagerness of a disciple to learn, to advance, he becomes pleased. There are many disciples who take initiation and they think, well, that's all I have to do. They never asked anything about the spiritual master. They place their material responsibilities in a more important part than their spiritual practice. They don't really advance beyond a certain stage, and they always struggle with the material energy. So,
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
yeah. So sadhu sangha is the key.
Thank you, Rasa Sundari Mataji. Thanks, Maharaj. Abhishek Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, I want to ask a question about just like when we approach some people, just like when they are doing something wrong, like breaking regulative principle, and tell them not to do that thing. And also sometimes we quote about Shrimad Bhagavatam, fifth chapter, fifth canto, 26th chapter. But what they say is, okay, I will be happy when I get punished in the hell, means they say I will be happy when I punished in the there, but in this life I have to enjoy. I have to do whatever I want. I want to enjoy. So what to do with that type of people? We should leave them, okay, go away, or we should do something else.
If you really want to reach out, you have to see where the people are receptive to what you have. If they're not receptive to what you have, why waste time? You're just wasting time. It's trying to put a square peg in a round hole. You can't do it. They're not receptive. You want to think, well, you might think how to make them receptive. Okay. You want to make a little effort. So you give them some prasadam, you invite them to the temple. You have your little sanghas where you have home programs and you invite them to come. If they don't respond to any of these things, then what can you do? If they come, they may be a little curious, they get a little association, then something starts to develop within them slowly. But to preach to them directly, you will get nowhere. You got to give them a chance to have an experience. Then when they have an experience, then they start to think differently. They say, I'm going to enjoy in this material world, but who's enjoying in this material world? The material world, Krishna says, Dukkhalayam Sasratam. It's a place of suffering and it's temporary. There's no enjoyment in the material world. And any enjoyment is simply a relief from suffering. That's all it is. So material happiness is just what they call an oxymoron. There's no such thing as material happiness. Material happiness is just one step up from freedom of material suffering. That's all it is. Real happiness is when the soul, the mind, the intelligence becomes illuminated by transcendental happiness in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they think taking intoxication, having illicit sex, they're doing all kinds of frivolous activities is giving them happiness. But take a look at the world today. Everybody's frustrated. There's tension all over the world. If material life is happy, take a look at the world. Who's happy today? Everybody is fighting with each other. Everybody is sick because they don't know how to live properly. It's a very, what we say, what's to say, pitiable situation. But they're not convinced. The reason they're not convinced is they think because I want to be happy and the material world is here for my enjoyment, this is where I'll find it. But they don't find it. All they do is dream about it and work towards it and never really achieve it. They get some money, they think they're happy, they spend their money, and it gives them not necessarily happiness. Sex, money, intoxication, various types of exploits leave them completely unhappy. you can gauge something, you can tell a tree by its fruit. So who's happy in this material world? What is the news about? Problems. Newspapers full of problems, just problems. It's all about problems. The problem is they don't know where to find real happiness, but we know, and we're inviting them to come forward. But because they're so stubborn, it's like a horse, you try to train a horse, but certain horses are not trainable. You can also do whatever you can, even beat the horse, but the horse will still not do what you want. So they're getting beaten by material energy, but they still think they can find some enjoyment. This is material world. All we have to do is take the words of Krishna. We don't have to investigate everything, but if you want to investigate, you can see what's going on. Who's happy? Where's their happiness? To get intoxicated, is that happy? To have sex life, does that bring happiness? It usually brings all kinds of suffering afterwards. Uh, to have a home, to have some kids that look like you. And then material life is just struggle, struggle, struggle. That's all it is. Trying to squeeze out. It's like you take a piece of sugar cane and you put it through the machine and you get some juice. Then you think, well, there's still more juice in that sugar cane, so you put you through it again, and you get a few more drops the second time. So that's what they're really chasing after, some drops. That's all. That's the best they can get. But because they don't know anything better, it's like, you'll see, for an example, sometimes in your house, you see there's a fly, and there's a window in your house, and the fly wants to get out, and he goes to the window, and he's trying to get out, but he's banging his head against the window. So he goes to one part of the window, bangs his head, and goes to another part, and he can't get out, but he sees the light, so he's thinking, there's where the way out is. But he keeps hitting his head on the window glass, and he never gets out. So unless someone comes and pushes him, opens the window and lets him out, then he gets out. So unless the spiritual master comes and says, stop banging your head, here's the way out.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So yeah, work with those who are receptive or interested anyway.
Thank you, Abhishek Prabhu. Very nice question. Just before we take Divya's question, UK God family will be logging off now. Is there anything, instruction or anything you wants to specifically say to UK God family, Maharaj, or
The God family?
UK
Nice,
God?
nice to see you guys. I wish you were here. I'm happy to see all of you. Thank you for being there. And I will be coming to the UK.
Harry Balls.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Jai ho. The God family is the real family. That's the real family. So, as one of the members of the God family, I'm happy to see all of you. I hope you're happy.
We're happy to see you guys.
Take the Krishna consciousness seriously, and you'll always be in the best position to receive Krishna's mercy in the form of transcendental happiness.
Offerings for you, Maharaj.
What happened?
We're trying to show your offerings. Okay,
The
they're
what?
off now.
Oh, the camera's gone. The camera's gone.
Camera's off.
Oh
They're
no.
doing, what are they doing?
They were trying to show you the offerings they have made for you, Maharaj.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean,
The bhoga offerings, yeah.
where's the pizza?
This time the menu is Italian, Maharaj. Not, sorry, Chinese. Not Italian, Chinese.
Chinese, okay. Don't have any Chinese devotees, but anyway.
One,
Variety is the spice of life.
two, three.
Okay. Thank you. We'll see you every day online, so don't forget.
His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a question now. Thank you so much, UK God family, for celebrating the Vyas Puja. Divya Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. Guru Maharaj, I was thinking that, our God consciousness, sometimes, these qualities like humility, devotion, and the love for God, they sometimes, get drowned into the immense ocean of pride, egoism, or, sometimes the spiritual lethargy as well. So, or will the determination can alone bring that or attract that spiritual powers, that we needed to bring back all those qualities up to the standard?
And the question is how to get rid of these other qualities?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yes. How we can just not get drowned by all these qualities, and
You
how
hopefully you have to get rid of them. So don't drown. Shrink that ocean of commotion and make it swell into an ocean of devotion. Yeah, all of these qualities, or what you may say, negative qualities, are due to our identification with the material body and the material world. So as we become more and more Krishna conscious, they gradually recede and ultimately disappear. Lust turns into love, like that. Hate turns into thinking of how to do good to others. All of the negative qualities are transformed into the qualities of a Vaishnava who uses those qualities to serve the Lord. Pride, we become proud of Krishna. If Krishna is the best and I am his servant, therefore that becomes a source of pride. It's not personal pride, it's pride of having the opportunity to associate with the best of all persons, Krishna. Envy has to be given up. Illusion is destroyed by transcendental knowledge. Greed is purified by being greedy for devotional service. Anger is overcome by forgiveness. Lust is transformed into love by using our energy, time, intelligence, abilities in the service of the Lord. Then that we turn our attention away from the material objects and towards Krishna. And then that lusty desire, lust means desire to enjoy this material world, epitomized by sex life. But all of when it's turned towards Krishna, it becomes purified and it retains its natural position again. Because lust is a shadow of love. And when we get rid of the shadow and bring the shadow back to the person, then it comes back to its original state. So our natural love for Krishna is transformed into these lusty things due to our association with matter. So when we disassociate ourselves from matter, connect it back to Krishna, it comes back to its pure essence, love for Krishna.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
so stop trying to enjoy this material world. That's what.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Divya. Very nice question. Bhagwan Chaitanya Das Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Vaishnavas everywhere. Guru Maharaj, a couple of times today it has been mentioned that people try to enjoy this material world. It occurs to me that this is because of what Prabhupada would say. So you already mentioned why. I mean, this is not like I'm going to remember the analogy of the fly hitting his head against the window, because that seems like that's what I do sometimes. And I'm like, you use Krishna consciousness to get past the window, open the window. So it seems to me that, like I said, it's true, but it is because they don't know scripture, they don't have the knowledge. Like Prabhupada would say, poor fund of knowledge. The number one thing I think is the young people have an acronym for this, call it YOLO. You only live once. Well, guess what? You don't. If they knew that, they probably will behave differently, Maharaj. What do you think about this?
Well, your body is only one phase of one chapter of your existence, and that disappears. So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that as the soul traverses through boyhood, youthhood, and old age, similarly, the soul again it takes another body after the time of death. So the soul is eternal. So if you read Bhagavad Gita, you hear from the authority that this is not one lifetime. Why? Because we are eternal. The bodies we have are temporary. Krishna says, just as you change clothes from day to day, you change bodies from life to life. So Krishna spent 20 some verses explaining what is the difference between the soul and matter. What is the difference between what is temporary, what's eternal, what is material, what is spiritual. So we take the words of Krishna that we are not this body, but a spiritual being. And we can realize that through the process of devotional service. You can also realize that to some degree through empirical observation, seeing yourself different from everything else. Who's the seer and who's being seen? You are the seer and everything else around you is being seen. But you're not the object of what you see, but you are seeing that. So the soul is the person who is moving everything, seeing everything, but is not part of everything they see or move. That's empirical understanding. And there's a verse, and we mentioned that a few days ago in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, I'm sorry. It's also in the second canto, second chapter, verse 35. Prabhupada very painstakingly walks us through a philosophical, empirical understanding. Well, don't bring it up because it's too lengthy. We don't have time to go through that whole session. To understand the difference between the soul and the body. But that's if you don't believe what Krishna says, then you can do it, try it to experience it that way. But take Krishna's words. He has no reason to tell you something that is not true.
The Supreme Lord. Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, I also find it interesting that not only did Krishna say this, it's the first thing he says. I think, I think he takes one verse to, chastise Arjuna for being like, hey, what are you doing? And then he immediately starts off into this. So he thought it was that important.
Yeah, he says, never was a time that I did not exist, nor you know all things, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. And then he goes on in the next verse, which I quoted, the soul goes through boyhood, youthhood, old age. Then he goes, Martus Parsus to Kunteya, that happiness and distress is like the changing of the seasons. They come and go. And then he continues on in the verse number 20, he says, soul's eternal, immortal, unchangeable, immutable, undying, and is not slain when the body is slain. So yeah, he speaks on that subject the most. Why? Because unless you have that, at least a theoretical understanding
Mm-hmm.
of knowledge, you can't understand higher knowledge. You have to at least understand theoretically you're not this body. Theoretically, you have to understand that I am a spiritual being. Even you haven't realized it yet. Still, you must accept it as the foundation for activities in devotional service. Mm-hmm.
Thank
So
you,
yeah,
Bhagavan.
do we say youth is folly?
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah. And yeah, if they have the theoretical understanding, then the YOLO will go away. Yeah.
Thank you,
That's
Bhagavan.
that's the hedonist idea. Eat, drink, and be merry and die.
Yes. Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
But who's merry?
That's the thing.
When you know you're gonna die, are you happy?
No, the whole idea is to bridge the gap. Death is coming, and then you're done forever. So you be married. So that's the
Yeah,
misunderstanding.
there's so many wrong theories out there.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take the words of the authority.
Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you. Thanks, Maharaj. Thanks, Bhagavan Chaitanya Prabhu.
Thank you.
Suma Mataji or Prabhu, please go ahead. You're on mute. Yes, go on.
Hare Krishna Mataji. My kid want to talk to Guru Maharaj. So yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. Maybe I think are you shy? You can speak up. Come on. You speak English? Can you speak English? You don't speak English. Then your mama has to translate.
Hippo. Sorry,
Because
Maharaj. I
you
don't want to waste the time. He just wanted to say to Guru Maharaj that tomorrow is your birthday. We are celebrating here in our school.
okay. Oh, that's very
He wanted to say that he was waiting when Mataji is going to call me to say that. When you call, he is like, no, I don't want to say it.
Tell him to send me a piece of cake. Anyway.
and a slice of pizza too. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for celebrating Maharaj's birthday. Very nice.
Haribo.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you. Hare
Thanks, Guru
Krishna.
Maharaj.
Okay. Any other questions, devotees?
Shall we do some japa?
Yes, yeah, that'll be nice, Maharaj. Thank you.
A couple rounds. I don't have a lot of time, but let's do.
Yes,
I'll do 2 rounds and then I'll have to disappear because of time.
yes, that's fine. I will share the screen.
So everyone who's going to participate in the japa, and the best way to get the maximum effect of your japa is sit straight, back straight, and we proceed first by glorifying Lord Chaitanya as the giver of the holy name. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Then we begin Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna
Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna. It was nice meeting you all.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.